Hello there, and welcome to Sweet Child of Time. I'm your host, Steve Barnes. Today we're discussing Season 3, Episode 6. This one's called The Shadow in the Night. I assume they're talking about Sammael as the Shadow in the Night. I'm going to ask James here, my co-host. Ahoy there, James McCullum.
Ahoy there, Steve. I found water. I found shade because that is where the shadows live.
I found some squash, too. Water, shade, and squash. But
Speaking of squash, that girl got real squashed.
Oh, yeah. Well, first off, that was instigated by this guy, Sammael. I assume that he is the titular Shadow in the Night. Is that what you were thinking about this title?
Well, I would think it was the Gray Lady.
Okay, yeah. See,
she's also a Shadow in the Night, as well as the Trollocs. I think every single area... Everyone we're following has a because it's shadows or shadow in the night.
The Shadow.
Oh, okay. Well, I think it should have been called the Shadows in the Night, or Hedgehog with a gun, Shadow the Hedgehog.
I think it should have been called the Hills of Tanchico, personally, because for me, that's what stuck in my mind more than anything else. Because I watched this episode when it aired, of course. And when I went back to rewatch it recently, that's the first thing I thought of. Like, oh, this is the episode with Hills of Tanchico. So that's what I think it should have been called. But that's just me.
And I'm calling out the Beach Boys. Should have put Tanchico in Kokomo, okay? It would have fit perfectly.
Aruba. Yeah, that's right.
Uh-huh.
The Beach Boys is one of my favorites. But I think one of your least favorite things might have happened on screen this episode. I saw a scene in this episode. And I immediately thought about you, James, and I was like, I think that this is probably the grossest Wheel of Time scene that James had to watch.
Yeah, it's Shadow Lady spitting into a mug casually, then spitting out into her hands, mushing it up. Ugh.
I mean, I want you to know that, like, I was thinking of you when I saw that, and I was wondering if you were going to quit the podcast around that scene.
No, because, like, a very gorgeous woman is doing it, so I can... I put this, you've heard of the concept manic pixie dream girl?
Yeah, of course.
She's a manic pixie nightmare girl, literally and figuratively, and she needs to get out of here, but that would be a good kind of home invasion or yuppie nightmare new subgenre of those, of like horror movies. Just, it's a manic pixie nightmare girl.
Yeah, I like that. Why hasn't that come about in the ether yet? I think maybe you just did it, and maybe you need to capitalize on it, because that's a great idea.
I'll start writing this movie.
All righty. Well, one of the stars could be Moghedian. One of them might be, well, no, Leandrin's not a manic pixie dream or nightmare girl, but she starts out this episode. I'm going to get us rolling into our episode, because I want to go scene by scene here. Are you ready to start talking about this?
Exterior, nighttime, the waste.
No, it started interior, nighttime, dungeon scene. Leandrin is there with her newborn son, Aludra. Is that what his name is?
Okay.
Yeah, Aludrin. And she's trying to calm him down. He's crying. She looks like she's maybe 12 or 13. She's a young girl. And this was 95 years ago, so we know that she's past the ripe old age of 100. She is a prisoner. She is I guess you would call her like she's being forced into sex work in this brothel, and she's trying to calm this baby. And this guy comes in here being a jerk to her. So this is the last straw for her, apparently. So she like blasts scream channels at them, and then curb stomps one of the guys to death just for good measure afterwards.
But not to death. He is already clearly dead.
Well, she wanted to make sure he was dead. So that's why I said that. So like, just second death, maybe.
We'll say second death.
The death of the soul, and then the death of the id.
She should have had some Doc Martens on, like Michael Myers in the first reboot series, when he just squashes that doctor's head in.
Reboot, I get you.
Oh yeah.
But she, because she killed these guys, she's free now. She runs out with her baby, goes out into the town of Tanchico, and nobody's helping her here. Tanchico is Tanchico. Nobody's there to help anybody out. She desperately lies at the feet of the statue of the shackled man. And here comes nice old Ishmael. Remember him from season 1? He's back. Or he's not back, but this is a flashback scene. And he hooks her up, and we know that that's the beginning of her dark friend journey, I suppose.
Which is wild that she was a dark friend before being any Aja, before even joining the ranks of the Aes Sedai in the White Tower, which means her desire to kill the dragon has always been anti-wheel. She's just like trying to say like, nope, I don't want this to go on any longer. So she's kind of just an asshole.
Yeah, I mean, she kind of is. I mean, she was raised into it. She was raised to be an asshole. It's not much blame we're putting on her. And we're going to put a lot of blame on her because we don't like her, first off. I mean, I love her, but I obviously don't like her as a moral person. But yeah, she does have kind of a bigger aspirations. And we see that in this very next scene, because the next scene we see Leandrin and she's lounging in the armadillo seat there at the White Tower. And that's her dream. So that shows us that like she dreams of power. Like right now, she's dreaming of power.
Yeah. I guess I could say that it's not that she's just been an asshole. It's she has not had an original desire and drive for power. She is truly just been polluted by the chosen, and she thinks she's in control, but it's like, no, dude, you've been being played since since the time you were born. It's just been shifting from one king to another, and you are just the pawn.
Right. And she has been obviously a dark friend this whole time. So Ishmael is like her leader, so to speak, but then she also answers to other Forsaken as well. So when you're in the Black Aja, you're a dark friend, and you have like these multiple Forsakens that are way more powerful than you, and you have to answer to them. They're like your bosses, basically, that you can't say no to. And if they're giving you like different directives, then you got to choose an alliance somehow. And I think her alliance changes depending on the situation and how it will affect her.
She sucks. 2 thumbs down.
Well, okay. Well, she's sitting there in the seat sucking, and Lanfear comes in and she's like, hey, what's up? I see that you're dreaming about being in the armadillo seat here. Lanfear's asking her why she's in Tanchico. And the main thing Lanfear wants to know is who has been working with Ravine. She knows that Ravine, who I'll remind you is that cool guy who's playing as the prince consort, and he's hanging out with the queen right now. He's actually Ravine. And Ravine has some kind of underhanded motives that he's doing that Lanfear doesn't like. She assumes that Leandrin is part of that, but Leandrin's like, nah, I'm not doing that. I'll find out for you. So that's basically what this conversation between her and Lanfear is Lanfear is like, find out who's working with Ravine. Leandrin says, okay.
Which I think we kind of find out everyone is besides Leandrin.
Yeah, ultimately, yeah. There's a lot of like politics and people doing different things for other people in spite of themselves, against their own interests. So yeah, we'll talk about that as we come to them. Next scene, we're still hanging out with Leandrin. We haven't left her yet. We're joining her back in Tanchico after she wakes up, I suppose. And she's with the gang, her Black Aja gang, which is Naomi, who we already know Naomi pretty well. Jean is the one that is like really amped about being evil and stuff. She's the one that laughs when people die. We don't like her at all. Ispan, she is the black dark friend, and Chesmael is the dark friend with the white thing in her hair. Just to let you know who everybody is.
Okay.
Leandrin's calling a little meeting here with them, and like we're reminded about these bracelets again. We're going to be talking about these bracelets. Maybe we'll just talk about them now, so we don't have to talk about them much anymore. The whole deal with these bracelets and the shackled man, the statue is, it's a depiction of 2 women both wearing a bracelet, and the man is wearing the collar. And because both women are wearing the bracelets, they can control the man with the collar. You need both bracelets. You need the collar. All 3 pieces have to be present for this to work. Leandrin's plan is obviously to get 2 bracelets between her and one of her buddies, and then put the collar on Rand. Boom, she's got the Dragon Reborn.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, we keep getting reminded about the bracelets and like what they mean this episode multiple times. I think just to make sure that everybody gets it.
Yeah.
So we'll get that out of the way now.
It'd be cool if there were slap bracelets.
That would be, but they'd be harder to find, even harder to find than these silver bracelets, because they had a hard time finding these. those slap bracelets are really skinny. You can make them like into a bookmark. You can hide them in a book. I don't know.
I wonder if there are people looking for like sought after types of slap bracelets. Are those from the 80s and 90s? Are there any rare ones?
There's got to be, because I know that bands like New Kids on the Block and these pop bands had their own ones, and I know like Disney had all their different slap bands. I would say yes. I haven't seen an actual slap band since I think maybe a birthday party that Charlotte went to when she was like 14. They had them. So that's like 5 years ago. Yeah, James is doing some research for us now, so we can know about slap bands before we move on to the Wheel of Time.
Okay, so it looks like maybe there's some Hot Topic branded. There are some WWE ones that are just shaped like the belt. So yes, there are some vintage slap bracelets that are somewhat sought after, but at most like $50 for one. Or 25.
That's still a good
50.
price. I mean, when I sell my old school skate magazines, that's about the price I get, $25-$50. And for a slap bracelet, you're making out pretty good if you have one of those in your drawer and you want to sell it.
I would still say, like, don't do this, guys. Like, they're just slap bracelets.
All right. Well, we're going to move on from slap bracelets then. We're going to move to Elaine. She is studying once more. She's always learning all she can about wherever she goes because she's a super nerd. That's okay. She's telling us about Tanchico. She's learning about the Hills of Tanchico here. And everybody has their task for when they go into town. Min is tasked to check people for visions. Matt is tasked to just go hang out and drink and play dice and get all the information he can about these bracelets. And Elaine and Nynaeve are just going to be there. They didn't really give themselves a directive. They were like, we'll be there for the heavy stuff. I don't know what they meant by that, but they're looking for the bracelets too. Everybody's looking for them.
And they're having what I think, I'm probably getting the name wrong, a closet show, which is when you kind of take everything in your closet and do like a little runway show with your friends.
That's right. Yeah, this is where like Nynaeve is like trying out like the different lace, and she tries on one, and Matt's like, I don't think that one is too appropriate. Is that this scene?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is like a say yes to the dress situation.
Oh man, did you like say yes to the dress Georgia or say yes to the dress LA?
I'm an LA boy, James. You know this. I mean, I'm a Southern boy, but all my stuff that I'm a fan of is out in LA.
I don't know if there was a differentiation. All I know is for sure there was a Georgia one, and then there had to have been another.
I guess so. Elaine could tell us, but yeah, they're all good. I think Matt looks the most striking in his outfit because we see him walking the streets, and he's looking pretty dope. They
specifically say to Nynaeve, like, hey, all those beads, the amount of beads announces how much you cost. So how many beads, let's just say like one bead equals $50. How many beads would you have?
Me or Nynaeve? Me?
You.
Is this to spend an evening with me? Is that what this is?
I would say like an evening, meaning like an hour and a half.
Okay, an hour and a half. $50 per bead. I mean, I'm going to have to say at least 20 beads at minimum. I mean, I'd like to go for more, but I think 20 is a fair price. What do you think, James? For you?
Nicole and I have this conversation because it's like, well, realistically, if someone paid me $5,000, so that would be what, 100 beads?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Like, yeah, that's a lot of money. But then I'm like, yeah, but do I want to say like someone else has had sex with me? So then I'm like, then it's like, well, if someone paid me $100,000 and it's like, Nicole, what, but then I'm like, would I be fine with someone else having sex with Nicole for $100,000? So then it gets up to like $3 million is just like my go-to because I know in interest, if I were to put it in the bank that I currently go to, $3 million is $40,000 a year just in interest. And that is enough to just live.
Okay, you're right. But then I heard the word SEX come up. You didn't say anything about that. You just said to spend an hour and a half hanging out with somebody.
Oh, no. Why would you? No, shut up. You know what I meant.
I just want to make it clear. no price. There's going to be no price that you can pay to make me go that route.
$3 million?
No, I don't.
Heather would slap you in the mouth if you turned down $3 million, I think.
I think we're different people, I suppose, because there is zero price that you could put.
Okay.
3 million, 3 billion. No, thank you. I'm fine where I am. I don't need that on my conscience. I don't need that.
What if Heather won the lottery and was like, hey, 3 mil tonight, baby? Would you take that offer?
I might make an exception for Heather. I mean, I like her special, so I think exceptions can be made.
There we go, guys. We found the dollar amount.
It's 3 million with Heather only. All right, let's move on to we're going to the waist. You said the show started in the waist, but I'm sorry, you were wrong. Now we're in the waist, and Egwene is in trouble with the wise ones. They are mad at her. She led Moraine into the world of Tel'aran'rhiod. Now Moraine has free access. She lied about being an Aes Sedai, or she didn't lie about it, but she just insinuated that she was an Aes Sedai, and she comes clean here. Like, look, I'm not. I'm accepted, which is kind of a big lie, kind of a big deal, but they're over it. They explain to Egwene here the difference between your own dreams and the world of Tel'aran'rhiod. And they're saying, when you're encountering this Lanfear, this woman in your dreams, if she's in your own dream, then you have absolute, complete control. If you're in Tel'aran'rhiod, you have some control, but you're at the mercy of the world, and you're at the mercy of other people's powers as well that they control in their dreams. Yeah, that's basically what I wanted to go over here. The difference between your own dreams and Tel'aran'rhiod. You have any thoughts for this scene, James?
I just want to say anyone who's like, yeah, well, she was accepted. She's pretty much an Aes Sedai. If you get accepted into Harvard, but you don't go, maybe you just hang out on the campus. Maybe you have a job on campus. You were accepted and you're like, I'm working to eventually pay to go here. But you never do. You never actually went to Harvard.
No, you're right. You're right. But I'm going to play on that analogy a little bit. Because she actually did have to go through an ordeal to become an accepted. So I think in this case, she has been accepted to Harvard, and she is going to classes, and she has taken some tests and has some credits, but she hasn't graduated yet.
Okay.
And she's going around telling people she's a graduate.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. It would be like, hey, I went through the hazing process of, Kappa, Theta, Alpha, but I never actually, they just hazed me. And then I was like, I don't want this. But then you're still going, actually, you want to know what? In that case, yes, you can say you are one of those people because you went through the hazing and they said, nuh-uh. Oh, no, you said nuh-uh.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. The 3 rings in the White Tower is a hazing ritual. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And the things they make the novices do, absolute hazing, James.
Yeah.
This is, I don't like this frat situation we're in here now. But anyway, we're going to stick to the world of dreams because Moraine is in there right now. Moraine meets up with Lanfear in her dreams, and they have a little back and forth. And basically the gist here is that Lanfear warns Moraine, something's coming up here. Something's going to be coming in the night. I guess a shadow in the night.
Oh.
But they both have the same goal, they being Moraine and Lanfear, which is to separate Rand from Egwene. Because in Moraine's eyes, Egwene is kind of distracting Rand from his goal. And then in Lanfear's eyes, Egwene is like a cock blocker in their relationship. So Lanfear wants Rand all for herself.
Yeah.
So both of them don't want Egwene around. So they're kind of working together in this respect.
You have been reading these books for how long?
2016, I think is when I started.
Okay, so 10 years you've been reading this, and you're still getting names mixed up. When there are so many names out there. But don't say Egwene, Elaine, Leandrin, Leanne, Fear. There's so... Stop it. You can have separate syllables for names. James and Steve do not sound alike.
That's right.
So try to figure out some other name. Matthew does not sound like any of those. Patrick does not sound, I guess Matt and Pat you might, but don't say Patthew. Say Matthew and Pat. It's different. It's not Leanne, Leandrin. And wasn't there another Lee something?
I'm sure. Layla.
Yeah, there's two men. Just stop it, fantasy writers. You can still make your fantasy names spell Victor with a K. That was on a Hit It and Credit a D&D podcast that I did/do. It's just on a very long hiatus. I had a character named Victor, and I guess everyone else, because they eventually spelled it in our group chat and spelled it VIK. I was like, guys, no, it's standard spelling. I don't fuck with that fantasy bullshit. And they're like, oh, we assumed it was spelled with a K.
I feel really good here, James, after hearing your rant, because, thank you for your rant, but that rant was on my behalf because I said a name wrong, and then my big brother, James, sticking up for me. Man, thank you. You got my back.
I'm your big little brother.
We're still here in the Waste. Yeah, because we're talking to Rand and Avienda now. Avienda is tasked to stay by Rand's side all the time now, whether she likes it or not. And Rand is going to talk to our little pal, Alcera. She is the grower of squash, and she's super proud of that squash. She's cool. She has a fun delivery. I can see her playing like the lead role of Anne of Green Gables. I can totally see her cast in that role.
Because every 5 years we need a new adaptation of Anne of Green Gables.
Apparently so. And yeah, this actress now needs a new job, so let's get her in there.
I wrote this down before knowing what happens at the end, so maybe this was on my fault. This was my bad. I just wrote, get these kids out of this show. Because I was like, we don't need this here. Because also in the beginning, Leandrin, it was just kind of, it's not a fault of the actor, just the lines, the direction given, it felt stilted, and it was like, I don't feel the pain that this individual should be going through. It's like, instead of just being like, will you help? You're not saying what you need help with. I guess it's like, get me out of here. But she's just asking random people who clearly find someone with a boat. Okay, not someone who looks as impoverished as you.
Yeah, that's a good call. And I think they could have taken some notes from Nathan Fielder here. Both James and myself have been watching the rehearsal. And for this season 2 of the rehearsal, he has this strict rule of like, no kids. There's not going to be any children actors because I don't even want to have to deal with that. So maybe Wheel of Time should have taken that note. But they're working towards that goal. They heard your cry, and we'll get to that in a little bit here about Alcera.
What is this, Time Bandits?
Let's see. Alcera, we find out not only is she a gardener and a grower of squash, she's also a training maiden of the spear because Rand accidentally grabs her spear. Oh, what's this? And she gets mad at him, and she does the whole, like, you owe me toe now. You've dishonored me. Rand does a pretty good job of handling the situation adequately. I think maybe because of Avienda's training, perhaps. Maybe we can thank her for that. But, this whole scene plays out pretty adorably. I like it.
Yeah, he says, hey, I will gain your respect. And guys, at the end, he gets out of that deal real quick, okay?
Yeah, that's right. That's what his toe is. That's what she tells him. Like, in order to gain my respect back, when these squash are ready to be harvested, you do the harvesting. And Rand's like, okay, really, that's just another opportunity for Rand and Alcera to hang out again. Mm-hmm. So for Rand, that's like, yeah, sure. That toe sounds fine. That's like you, if you were mad at me, you're like, the only way you can get my grace back, Steve, is to be a guest on one of my podcasts. I'm like, okay, James, all right, I'll do it.
Specifically, a last-minute guest on one of my podcasts.
Right. Yeah, I got to be a last-minute call-in with no notes. I love my notes. Yeah. So, that's my nightmare.
Are we going to get a scene later on in probably episode 8 of him sadly, music is swelling in the background of him picking those squash?
Yes.
God.
Straight up, yes. We are going to get that.
We don't need kids in these shows.
Well, okay, I think you're wrong, and we're going to find out in a few scenes from now how wrong you are, James, because we actually do need two particular girls right now.
But those are like teenagers. We don't need kids.
I mean, I'm clocking them in at like maybe 11 or 12. I'm thinking preteens. I think they're kids. They're little kids. That's my opinion.
Kids are to be seen, not heard, okay? Because they do not speak a lot, all right?
They really don't. They really don't. But let's get there real quick.
Wait, real quick. What's that lady, she bangs that stick real hard. What's that stick called?
Oh, yeah, it does have a name. I can't remember. It's Leanne is the woman's name.
Uh-huh.
And the stick is, I don't know, the banging pole. I can't remember, dude.
Well, whatever it is, let us know, listeners. But let us know via this saying, spoil the child, spare the, insert the name of that thing.
We can go there. All right. We're in Two Rivers now. Welcome back to Two Rivers. Perrin is brought back after the White Cloak fight. From last episode, he got a knife in the gut. He needs healing, but Alana also needs healing because she got shot with like a dozen arrows or so. Mm-hmm. And we don't see much in this scene here, but we do see that Paddon Fain is back, the Whistling Man from season 1, our favorite bad guy. He is back, and he's got all his dark friends with him. He's got some Trollocs with him. We see him in. Right now we don't. We just see them. So I'm just gonna put a pin in that. But yeah, Paddon Fain is back and he's whistling again. James.
Yeah.
Sweet Shot of Time is brought to you by Zencastr. Zencastr is the way we record Sweet Shot of Time. We hook up with our guests via video and we record it on audio. Recently, we've been doing video podcasts with the cast of Time Bandits. It's easy using Zencastr. You can record video or audio. You can also edit your podcast or your video via Zencastr. Join Zencastr using my promo code Sweet Child of Time and you can get 30% off Zencastr. If you're ready to start your podcast, it's time to share your story. Share it with Zencastr. That promo code once again, Sweet Child of Time at Zencastr.com. Yeah, we're going to move on. We're just jumping from scene to scene here. We're going in order of scenes. We're back to Tanchico with the good guys. Elaine is in a bar and she's getting hit on by this goth creep, I guess. I called him a goth weirdo, but I think goth creep sounds better.
And you're about to say something, and I want to say, when we saw Paddon Fain, I rewound to be like, wait, just to make sure a specific character isn't all of a sudden hanging out with him. He was not, but I had him in my head, and then you continue with your notes because it will eventually get to...
Right. And then we see Matt, and he is contracting out some thieves to find the bracelet and necklace for him. And he's talking to this thief and he's doing his contract thing, but then he hears some music in the distance and he's like, oh, what is that? It sounds like the minor keys of a certain gray-haired man I know. He finds Tom Maryland. Tom Maryland is finally back. We missed a whole season with the man and I love him. He's Anchor from 1899. We love this guy. Cool hat, cool jacket, looking Clint Eastwood style. Yeah, Tom's back. James, I told you he'd be coming back. Why'd they wait so long?
I don't know. To have a cool thing happen. And the song in this rips. So they wanted to make sure, hey, what can we put on Spotify for this season? Well, we know what we're putting on Spotify for this season.
Yeah, well, we're not to that scene yet. We're going to be there in a few moments here. But for right now, he's just playing this one song by himself. He loves those minor keys. He's opposite of Howard Kramer. Howard Kramer demands major scales. Tom Maryland demands the minor key, which I appreciate that.
Well, hold on. It's not minor scales, because every major scale is also inverted into a minor scale. So it's just chords Howard Kramer does not like. So I just made sure, hey, I'm not going to do any chords when I'm making these beats.
There you go. Okay. I liked you better when you were on my side and you were defending me instead of but that's okay. Also in Tanchico, in a different bar, in a different area, we got Min and Nynaeve. And Min is, they have the same goal too. They're looking for the bracelet using any way they can. Min is just trying to get Nynaeve to loosen up and kind of blend into the scenery because Nynaeve doesn't look like she wants to be in a bar right now. I think, yeah, it is that this scene that Min gets a helpful vision and some info. A dude passes by, and we don't see the vision that she sees, but we get the sense that Jane is going to kill this guy later. Mm-hmm. So Min is like, hey, I learned from, what's her name, Elidia, that I can use my visions to guide me. So I know this guy is going to kill Jane. So if we go follow him, then we're going to know where Jane is.
Yeah.
Pretty smart plan. And we're still in Tanchico at this point, except we're going to cut over to Leandrin's area. Leandrin is quizzing Naomi right now about the forgetfulness weave that Naomi is really good at. And we see, this is the scene. This is when Moghedian is creeping about. She's like sniffing their napkins and like licking their napkins, putting her fingers in their food and stuff. Really gross stuff. And I was trying to figure out exactly why she was doing this. I think it's just because she's a weirdo, right?
My guess is because we've seen that she is very spider-esque in her powers. I think this is a way, like, maybe it's like I spit in your food, and then when you consume that, either I can have it's easier to influence you because there is already some of me in you, or it kind of spreads out her influence to further reaches. I don't know. It's gross. I think it has some purpose to it, opposed to, and also like if you get to know that, I think it truly is, if you consume some of me, I can influence you better. And if I know your scent, I know you, I might have a better access into you.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm asking you this because I don't know. Because she's there in the house posing as one of their housekeepers. So she has full access to all 5 of them.
Yeah.
I think she's just doing this to be creepy and weird and funny and silly. Because that's the character that she is. And the books as well. I remember really well, I was at Ashland Skateland when Charlotte was doing, skate lessons. And this was maybe like when I was first reading the books, like we said, 2017, 2018, perhaps. And I was reading a Moghedian scene, and it was like this. It was completely disgusting, off the charts, just unnecessarily gross. And one of the other moms walks by. She's like, oh, what are you reading? And I was like, oh, I felt like I was like watching pornography or something because I was afraid to tell her what I was reading. So I was like, oh, just a fantasy book. That's all, just fantasy.
That reminds me of teachers knew the type of music I listened to, at least the teachers I was cool with. And Mr. Marshall, Tim Allen's biological brother, he taught me, and he knew the like horrorcore that I listened to. And I would just walk throughout the entire city of Muskegon. And it's not a walkable city. It's very spread out. But I would just walk because, guys, if you see a kid like walking in shorts in the middle of winter in Michigan, maybe like check on him, put him in therapy. He's clearly depressed and needs help. So he would ask me, because he like would see me on a beautiful spring day. He'd go, how are you just walking around, just sun shining, beautiful day out, and listening to like murder, death, Satan music? I was like, I don't know. It makes me feel better listening to this music opposed to like happy music I just don't get.
Yeah, we're simpatico, James. I remember we went to the beach one year. I was 13 or 14. Family going to the beach, mom, dad, sister, brother. And I had just bought Stephen King's It because it had just came out.
Whoa.
I'm sorry, The Stand. It was The Stand, not It. It was The Stand. And I sat in my assigned room. I didn't go to the beach. I didn't participate in any family stuff. I just sat in my room and read that book because I was captivated by it, because I loved it. I was having a ball, but they just let me be. And I was the 13-year-old kid that did not go to the beach that year because I wanted to sit in the room. I mean, I was like, 50 steps from the ocean, but I chose instead. And yeah, like you said, could be some signs of major depression. Could be some signs of some other psychological issues, but nobody cares. He's fine reading his book.
Yeah. Autism and shit probably also working at it of like, no, I got this book and I want to read it. I don't care. Like Nicole and I in Vegas, it was maybe 110 degrees outside, but the water was very cold, so we dipped into the pool, the lazy river, and then when we got out, we were freezing because like the Vegas sucks climate-wise, but we just put we got a bunch of towels and just put them over us, and like we were in sleeping bags, we just started reading comics at the poolside, and it ripped.
Yeah, it does. Somebody might look at that and be like, huh, they okay? And you're like, yes, we're totally okay.
Was I okay reading what I was reading? No, because the Marvel Mech Strike Monster Hunters is a bad book, but I was reading something.
Well, this goes back to when I started this whole conversation about me reading that book in Ashland Skateland, and it was inappropriate and it was gross, and that was Moghedian for you. So I'm going to move on from Moghedian back to Egwene. She's with the Wise Ones. They're still full on training her. They were mad at her in that other scene, but they're okay with her now. And you can see like Melaine and Bear here are like exchanging these like heavy glances. Like we're kind of getting the gist that Egwene is pretty damn good at this. And she's persistent in her training as well. Because when she fails, and she fails here because her goal is to go into her dream and be able to have some control of herself. But she's not. Lanfear's there. Lanfear overpowers her. Egwene learns more about Lanfear and Rand's relationship, which is not good news to Egwene. But then that little brass pin that they put into the candle as a little wake-up call falls, luckily. So Egwene wakes up and she's like, oh my God, Lanfear was there. The Wise Ones are like, you got to do better. You can do this. And she's persistent. She wants to keep going. And hell yeah, Egwene.
Because they were saying, in your dream, you hold the power. As long as you don't go into the other world, like
Teleramorad, yeah.
Teleramorad. As long as you don't go there, you're good. In your dreams, you hold the power. And it made me want to try. It would probably have to be like Jose, Joe, and I. It would have to be my dumbest of friends, me included in dummies.
Okay.
We try for a month. We just fall asleep to a Freddy Krueger movie and see if we can kill Freddy Krueger in our dreams, meaning the last thing we think about is Freddy Krueger. Then in the dreams, can we eventually not be I have night terrors. Everyone, I think, knows that. I will wake up going like, ah! Can I be like, nope, Freddy Krueger, you are a little baby and I can take you down and just chronicle that on a podcast?
I think that's a great idea. And if you're already having night terrors anyway, then you have nothing to lose because, you're running the risk of having nightmares by falling asleep with Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
But if you're already having night terrors, then that's just par for the course for you. And you can work towards your goal of defeating him. I'm on board with this. Maybe I'm not dumb enough to participate, but I definitely would listen to that podcast.
And I guess the person we would need to get on board most is they're falling asleep by themselves, Joe and Jose. Me, on the other hand, I have Nicole. I don't know if Nicole would be fine with falling asleep to a different Freddy Krueger movie every single night.
That's not going to work that way, James. I have to interfere here. What you and Joe and Jose got to do is you lay down and you have the brass pin in the candle, and then Jose and Joe are on either side of you. And they're going to be watching you as you sleep to make sure everything is okay. So that's how it's going to have to go down. And if they want to do the same thing too, then vice versa. Jose lays down, you and Joe are overlooking him. So
yeah, none of them are going to sign on for that then.
Man, anybody with a name that starts with the letter J, just no good. All right. That includes you too, James.
But at least it's not James Andland, James Ear. It's Joe, Jose, and James. All three separate syllables. We're not getting it confused, Mr. Jordan.
Point taken. All right. Rand and Moraine. We're going back to them in the Waste. They're talking about their visions that they had in Ruidian. And the power, they're talking about the power. And Rand, during this conversation, kind of briefly demonstrates the strength of his power inadvertently. I think the most interesting takeaway from this is Rand insists that, first I should say, Moraine has always been of the opinion that women channel Saidar, men channel sight in, and they're both completely separate things. But Rand is like, I kind of learned in Ruidian that they're the same thing. They come from the same source. And then he also says, you Aes Sedai aren't right about everything. So that was kind of my takeaway. Do you have a takeaway from this conversation?
Well, yeah, he says it's the one power for a reason. We're both drawing from the single thing. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's different tubes that we're pulling from, but the reserve is the same exact source.
Yeah, that's why you were holding your finger up. One power. Yes, okay, I get it now. That's the visual clocks in with the audio. All right.
And he asked her, hey, in your visions, did I kill you? Did you kill me? And she said sometimes for both. Fucker, it was every time. Like, it was very rare. Even when you guys were like, oh, yeah, let's fuck, one of you still killed the other in coitus.
Yep, that was some visions, all right. I almost want to go back and watch that episode again now, but anyway.
And he was saying, hey, don't submit to the power, because they were like going back and forth of like, should you submit to this power? Okay. And it just reminds me, I will not say any of the names. There was an agent at my old work, a customer service job, and a manager. And the agent had said to another agent that this manager was just trying to like get them to actually like do more work than they currently were. And this, when I was a manager, this was one of my agents, and they were like, I'm just doing the bare minimum that I need to do. I don't care enough to like get bonuses or whatever. I'm just here to get a paycheck and leave. And it was just a constant back and forth between this agent and this manager, both women, I should say that. So it doesn't seem creepier when the next thing I say, but the agent screenshotted what this manager said after like many weeks of trying to like get them to improve. She said to this agent, why won't you submit to me? And it was just, so now whenever I hear like don't submit or do submit, I just say, why won't you submit to me?
Wow. Did she take back those words, or were those her cast in stone words?
She, I think, quit not too far from when she said that. Like, that job sucked. No one should be at that job because it was a scam company, Vivid Seats.
Oh, now they come out. Hell yeah. All right, cool. Vivid Seats, you're going. Vivid Seats are already down, aren't they? Do they even exist anymore?
No, I believe do, yeah.
Well, to me, they don't. They're dead to me, James. They're dead to our listeners as well. All right, next up is, we're back in the Two Rivers for a little bit here. We got Perrin and Fael. Oh, this is when we learned about Fael's backstory. She talks about where she's from, Saldia. I'm not sure if we've been there yet in the show. And we learn her mom was a dark friend, and she tried to force Fael here to swear the dark oaths. She did not. She ran away. She had a brother who was a little more, I guess, headstrong about it. And he wanted to try to change her mom's perspective, and the mom ended up killing that brother. Mm-hmm. So Fael ran off to find the Horn of Valir. Yeah, this is when Perrin tells Fael about Layla and about what he did. And she gives him, a kind of a different perspective, and, kind of gives him permission to forgive himself. And I don't know, it was a nice conversation. I love Fael, so, any scene with her is a win.
I would reiterate that he wasn't telling her this for the first time. He's saying this out loud for the first time, right? I don't think he has told anyone that he accidentally killed her. I don't remember. I
don't have a solid answer, because I'm like 75% sure this is the first time as well that he's saying it out loud, but I'm 25% questioning that. So maybe a listener can let us know.
Which is huge. It's big, especially for this person who he met maybe a week ago, but they clearly have a thing for each other, because she says like, hey, you're healing up. Those mountain herbs sure are strong, which are a lot of our Colorado listeners know a thing or two about. But then they go in, they start kissing, and then, sorry to interrupt, but I hear you need some healing. Get out of here.
Well, that's not this scene. That's that comes up a little later on.
Oh, dang it. But I wrote down Mama was a dark friend parents really don't understand,
They don't. And what was I going to say about that? sometimes you say something and that's like, oh, I'm going to say something now, but then it went away. So I'm going to instead turn our focus over to Dane Bornhald. He's a little ways over from the Two Rivers. He's dirty. His white cloak is not very white anymore, and he looks pretty run down. He's greeted by Padden Fane. Padden Fane shows up with a bunch of other quote unquote white cloaks.
Oh, yeah.
And it seems pretty clear. This was a little like when this episode first came out, people who were like only watching the show, there was some discussion of like, how did he get these white cloak uniforms? Why don't you tell me, James? How do you think they got all these white cloak uniforms?
So there were reinforcements coming. He just intercepted them and killed them and said like, all right, it's just like Star Wars, you know?
Yes, exactly. That's right. He stole those uniforms. They killed the guys, and when the guy was like, hey, why are they all bloody?
Yeah.
Well, because we killed the previous owners and we put them on.
Also, he's not lying technically. He said we ran into some Trollocs. Yeah, those people did, and the Trollocs are the reason why all of those outfits are bloodied.
He can lie, and he's not an Aes Sedai, but yeah, you're right. He was being 100% honest in that assessment there.
And I loved this. Yes, he is going to also try and take down the Two Rivers. However, it's going to be mutually assured destruction for the White Cloaks. They are going to die in this as well. Yeah,
that raises an interesting question. Because we don't like the White Cloaks, obviously. The White Cloaks don't like the Forsaken. They don't like Dark Friends. They don't like Trollocs. So who are you rooting for here? Like, are you rooting for the White Cloaks or for Padden Fane and his gang? Who would you rather see come on top there?
Padden Fane, of course, because the White Cloaks are trying to take over the world in their misguided, authoritative creed, whereas the Dark One or the Dark Friends and the Forsaken are just trying to destroy the entire Earth. So it's like, would you rather live in oppression or just no longer exist?
Oh, that's an interesting perspective. Okay. Yeah, I didn't think about it that way. I was actually kind of thinking the opposite, like, because the White Cloaks are just people, whereas these Dark Friends and this Trollocs and Padden Fane, they're uber people because they have the Forsaken and the Dark One on their side. So they kind of have like a leg up in that way. So I would think the White Cloaks would be a better enemy to have to fight against. So if you have like two enemies and whoever wins that fight, you now have to fight them. I would definitely want the White Cloaks to be on top.
In that situation, but I do just want to see the White Cloaks die already. So whatever gets us there, I'm fine with.
All right. We're moving closer every day. All right. Back to Tanchico. Here's the scene. Here's the Hills of Tanchico. Matt is getting Tom up to speed. He's like cluing Tom into everything that's been going on with the Horn of Valir and Perrin and Rand and everybody. But Tom looks over and he recognizes Elaine straight up because, he's just familiar with the royal family.
Oh, because he was in the court.
Yes, that's right. Okay. I didn't know if you knew that. I was being coy. Yes, because he was a court in Andor. That's right. And Elaine is doing the cool trick of pretending to be somebody that looks like her. So that'd be kind of like if you went around and somebody was like, hey, it's James McCullum. You're like, oh, no. People always say I look like James McCullum, but that's not me. She's doing one of those tricks. It's cool. Tom knows who Leandrin is. Leandrin's a legend around town. She's 100 years old. So yeah, she has made her name for herself. And Tom rescues Elaine from the goth creep because the goth creepy guy is starting to get a little too handsy with Elaine and starting to ask too many questions. So Tom jumps in and pretends like he's like, I guess her pimp or something.
Yeah. Oh, no, apprentice.
Apprentice. That's right. The apprentice of the
Gleeman.
The Gleeman's apprentice. There you go. They're kind of forced to jump up and play a song by the goth creep guy. He insists that they do it. And Elaine, she's like, the Hills of Tanchico. It's a nice children's song. It's a nice wholesome song that we can sing here. And so, again, all minor chords is what Tom's playing here. And Elaine herself doesn't even realize until halfway through the song that the Hills of Tanchico is referencing boobs. And she realizes that that's what the theme of the song is about halfway through. And then she kind of embraces that. And that is a, one in her court there. Did you recognize the double entendre of the song, James?
No, I did not. Because it was just really good.
It's a cool song, and they ended the show with it. But did you not notice how the women were all like doing this motion with their hands?
I thought it was just, hey, this song has magical properties and it gets everyone horned up.
Right. In one of the lines of the song, she says about the Hills of Tanchico that 2 hills are perfect because, 1 is too few and 3 is too many. So, you got to have in her opinion, 2 hills are the perfect amount.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a horny ass song here. And I'm with you. When I first watched it, I think I actually said to Heather, why are they rubbing their boobs so much? And Heather was like, because they're the Hills of Tanchico. And it was kind of like a slap myself on the forehead moment. So don't feel bad. I think maybe like 75% of the people didn't catch that. And the other 25% that did catch it hung it over our heads like we were dumb.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, men and Nynaeve are finally out there getting drunk, having fun. And they mentioned something about Leandrin in their conversation, and a bar dude next to them overhears, gives them some barroom gossip. That's exactly what you want when you're in a bar room like this, in a town like this. You want some barroom old guy to like give you a little piece of information. But unfortunately, Ispan, the Black Aja, is also in the bar, and she overhears the old man telling them about Leandrin. Mm-hmm. So I was going to run off with her over to Leandrin's crew, unless you had anything else about the Hills of Tanchico or these bars.
Go for it.
All right. So we go back to Leandrin's crew, and Leandrin is interrogating Naomi right now, a little more hardcore than she was last time. And she finds out that that Naomi knows where the collar is, and she's been hiding this information. It's in the Panarch's palace. So Leandrin kills Naomi right there. She does it right in front of Ispan. So Ispan sees this happen. And Leandrin also has told Naomi before she dies that she has a goal to be a Forsaken as well. I don't think Ispan was supposed to hear that part. That was kind of a surprise. But we heard it, Ispan heard it, and now perhaps Ispan is going to send that information to someone else down the line. But yeah, we got to say bye-bye to Naomi now. So like that cool goth chick, no more. All her eyeliner and cool clothes are out of our hands now, James.
Was she goth?
I thought so, yeah. The way, like the black clothes she was wearing, and like the cool like silver things on them, and her eyeliner.
All right.
Just because you're blonde doesn't mean you can't be goth, James.
I never said that. She just didn't really. I guess because it still looks like just a dark red that she's wearing in my eyes. I also got the blue blockers on. Maybe that's affecting it.
Okay, well, fair enough. I think she's goth. Maybe she would be like, hell no, I'm a pop punker. Maybe she would have a different opinion of herself, but
I've actually seen emo.
Yep. Okay, back to the 2 rivers. This is when we can talk about Alana. Alana is on her last breath here because she's had all those arrows. Nobody's around to heal her, and she's not doing great. Matt's 2 sisters, I'll give them names now. Bode and Eldrin are their names. And they come in to thank Alana for saving them. And while they're there, Alana can sense that they are also channelers. Not Aes Sedai by any means, but they also have the ability to channel, which we saw last episode. Mm-hmm. So she kind of talks them through how to heal her. She's able to do so. She's able to talk these girls into healing her, which seems far-fetched that these 2 young girls would be able to like heal up like her organs and her skin and stuff. But, this is our show. It's a fantasy show, so that gives us a lot of permission to go for it.
No, but they're in the 2 rivers. We've established, and she says, hey, I fucking told you there are strong people here in the 2 rivers. And I feel like a dunce, because when they came up, I was like, oh, yeah, because last episode you were like, oh, yeah, she's done for. There's no one around to heal her. I was like, no, I think she'll be able to, like, stay alert for a little bit longer. She'll be fine, not thinking, well, we just saw 2 channelers. They'll be able to heal her.
Yeah. So yeah, good point. Yeah, because they are Matt's sisters. We got to remember this too. They're the Hornblower sisters. He's Tavarine, so they obviously got that blood in them. So good point. I was kind of like doubting this myself that they would be able to do this, but I don't know. You've convinced me.
And it's not just one person, it's 2 people, and they're twins, I'm assuming.
So I think.
I think with that, like twin lore, they can fuel each other like in real life, like, oh, we can sense each other when they're sad and whatnot. So I think the twinness of it all is what is also driving their strength.
Yeah, the twin powers activate. That's right. So now Alana is healed up thanks to the girls. She heads downstairs at this point, and this is when Perrin and Fael are getting a little frisky. And Alana's no stranger to friskiness. She's a famous lover herself, so she doesn't mind. She's like, hey, Perrin, get over here. I can heal you now. She heals up Perrin. Alana, I mean, just put a period right there. Alana, she's been shot 12 times with arrows. She's saved the day multiple times. She's saving Perrin here. Green Aja for the win. I mean, Green Aja has always been my favorite Aja, but she's just proven it here. I love Alana.
Yeah. And now I think we can say she's not Dark Friend.
Yeah, I was wondering that too, because there's other people that we suspected that are Dark Friends, and then we find out later, there's clear evidence that they're not. What clear evidence did you find here that she is not?
She wouldn't have healed Perrin, I don't think. Like, that's a very strong individual that has such a big link to the dragon that if he's out of here, that's a good thing for the army of darkness.
I suppose so, but like her whole thing here is she's saying she wants to find another warder, and she's doing it in the Two Rivers, which is a great place to start. I kind of feel like she's following Perrin around as well. I kind of feel like we don't see it, but you remember Swan, she has these motives too, and she wants to make sure everybody is watching everyone else. I almost get the sense that she has sent Alana to keep an eye on Perrin here. Or if not, then maybe Alana did that of her own accord. My point being, I don't think her healing Perrin clears her. I don't think that clears her name necessarily.
Okay, all I know is my opinion, and that is she's not. She just, she has done too many good things when in situations that if she had done a bad thing, no one would have noticed.
We've also gone through the whole thing of like questioning Alana of like, what is she up to? Is she a Dark Friend? And it seems like that has come full circle, and it seems like it has been answered. So I feel pretty confident too. I just wanted to see if you had like any kind of clear moment that I missed out on perhaps.
And we got to talk about a specific moment where Perrin and what's her name?
Fael.
And Fael, they're hanging out on that little cot. And he's like, I was going to give this to his sisters, but I do need to show you something. He pulls out the painting that Matt had done with the horn in that little bar in the White Tower town. And he's like, that's my best friend, Matt. And that's the horn of, he says, that's my best friend, Matt. And she's like, wait, that's your friend. Yeah, my friend, Matt. And he has the horn. Yeah, that he not only that, he blew the horn. And she's like, why did you not tell me this? I've been acting a fool. And he's like, well, there wasn't really a good time until now to tell you. And it was so cute and so funny because she's like, oh my God, your friend. The two girls that we saved are the Hornblower sisters.
And she doesn't seem taken aback at all about the fact that he's a wolf brother and that he has yellow eyes. That just kind of slips under the rug. It's this hornblower stuff that blows her mind. You're right. And the fact that it's been blown already too, because, these people who are Fael and her gang of friends here, Lord Luke and all them, they want to find the Horn of Valir so they can take it to the White Tower and give it to the Armorillan seat, and then they can be like, exalted for the rest of the days. They're not looking to blow it. So the fact that he blew the horn kind of blows her mind. So yeah, I was back at Alana. Now we're not. Now we're going back to Nynaeve and Min. This is when they finally get reunited with Matt and Tom and Elaine. Our friends are back. Our 5 good friends are back together. And we even see like Min in the background. She's doing like the Hills of Tanchico dance herself too, which is a funny surprise. One of the thieves that Matt was talking to earlier shows up with a bracelet. Matt gives him a big old bucket of money for that thing.
And that's how we know Matt has grown. If season 1 Matt would have been like, yeah, I didn't tell you how much money I'd give you. So like, here's just like 2 little coins. He's like, no, you did exactly what I wanted and what I needed. I showed you the entire bag. You probably didn't expect me to give you the entire bag. Here it is, though.
I like that. That's a great point. That just went right past me, actually. Tom explains to them what I've already explained to you, James, about the shackled man and why Leandra might want those bracelets and the collar. Mm-hmm. We're cutting to Ispan, and Ispan is in this weird corridor right now. And what we're supposed to ascertain is that she's in Teleran Royad, and she is getting ready to meet with Ravine. But instead, Moghedian shows up, and she tells Ispan, I know you're working with Ravine, because she just kind of figured it out somehow. Because we know it's not Naomi, we know it's not Leandrin, and I think Ispan kind of outed herself in that last scene. So Moghedian figured it out. Before Moghedian does the final blow and kills Ispan as well, she learns some key pieces of information. She learns that Leandrin killed Naomi, Leandrin has a goal to be a Forsaken, and that 2 of the 5 Two Rivers kids are currently in Tanchico. So now Moghedian has all that information, which she did not have before. And then she kills Ispan. No big deal.
Shoving her fingers in like she was shoving it in that like bread soup.
Yeah. Oh, like a soup bowl? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, the soup bread bowls, man. I love those things. Are you saying those are bad things?
No. It's like shoving your fingers in them is a bad thing.
Okay, all right. I misread that last quote, James. That's all. Here we go.
You love food in a bowl that's made of food.
I do. I actually do. I'll eat it with my fingers, no problem, because it's not gross and messy. It's designed to be eaten with your fingers.
Because the only food I've seen you eat was a taco bowl.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah. I've never eaten anything on pod here, like while we've been podcasting. I'm a good rule follower then. That is a rule I usually follow. Don't eat on camera, and I guess I've done it. Great. Oh, Moghedian. We're still with Moghedian here. Once she gets this information from Ispan, she goes and puts her information to play. We get firsthand view here of the kind of power she can hold over people. She hypnotizes Elaine and Nynaeve, no problem. Well, I say no problem. Nynaeve almost breaks the spell towards the end, and Moghedian kind of admires Nynaeve for that. She's like, holy shit, you're stronger than I thought. But for right now, she has Elaine and Nynaeve like in her grasp, fully hypnotized. They give up all their secrets. Every secret they have, they give up right here. They give up the bracelet. They give up the fact that they're not Aes Sedai. There's no Aes Sedai with them, so she knows that they're pretty like easy pickings here. They don't know where Rand is. They do know why they want the bracelet. So those are the secrets that she pulls out of them before she breaks up. But we learn here that Ravine, who is the prince consort who sleeps with Queen Morghese, he also wants Nynaeve and Elaine dead. Those gray men that came to attack Elaine, they were sent by Moghedian. She admits it right here. Those gray men, that was from me. But now I've learned that Ravine wants you two dead. I don't want Ravine to get his way, so I'm going to keep you two alive, just to spite Ravine. And also, I can maybe like hypnotize you again later and get some more information from you. But yeah, it's a pretty good example of some like Forsaken politics, I guess.
Mm-hmm. It's weird how the Forsaken aren't just like, no, we all need to be on the same page. We're all should all be going for the same goal. But one thing that we sort of learned, we've been wondering why Nynaeve hasn't been channeling when she should be.
Right.
And it kind of seems like she has shielded herself.
Yep. That's right. I mean, people do this inadvertently all the time. Like me, like I tell myself I can't eat meat. I don't do it. Like it's almost as if I'm allergic to it. I did that to myself. It's not because I can't. I could take a piece of chicken and shove it in there if I wanted, but I don't do it. So Nynaeve has inadvertently blocked herself. And yeah, Moghedian says like if she was alive back in her day, we would have beat that out of you, boy. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's the way the Forsaken handle their kids. But yeah, we see Nynaeve. She almost snaps out of the reverie. She doesn't want to give up that bracelet. And when Moghedian's gone and Elaine and Nynaeve kind of come to, Elaine doesn't remember anything, but Nynaeve kind of remembers. So I think it's just kind of trying to show us Nynaeve's strength here is what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and then they notice the little scratch that she had left on Nynaeve's cheek, and then she's like, oh, nope, now I know something weird happened. And then they try to find the bracelet, and it's no longer there.
Bummer. I mean, that was the whole point of your journey, and you were so happy you got it, and now it's gone. So let's see. We're nearing the end here. I think we only got like 1 or 2 more scenes left because that's the last scene from Tanchico. We're heading on to Egwene and Rand. They're finally having to face each other here, have a difficult conversation about Lanfear. Kind of a breakup scene in many ways. We know that Egwene wants a lot more for herself. Rand is sitting here saying, I'm everything you could possibly want. I'm the Dragon Reborn, and I'm not good enough for you. Which is kind of true. Egwene doesn't want to just be the Dragon Reborn's girlfriend. She wants to be like a wise one, an Aes Sedai. She wants to control her own destiny. He honestly did not know that Lanfear was torturing Egwene, so he's not thrilled to learn this. No matter what happens between Rand and Egwene, they're still going to be friends. They're still Two Rivers pals.
Yeah.
So he doesn't want anybody fucking with Egwene.
And he said directly, even now I'm the Dragon Reborn and I'm not enough. And I've always respected that about you, meaning you don't want to just be like, he doesn't have any ill will for her wanting more in her life instead of just like, I am with Rand and that's enough. Even though he's like, all I need is to be with you and that's enough. But he's not trying to force her into a situation she doesn't want. And that's honorable for Rand.
Yeah, and that's exactly why Moraine doesn't want Egwene around. That's her motivation to get Egwene out of there, because she knows that if Egwene was like, okay, Rand, let's just do our thing and just forget the world and I'm with you, Rand would be like, yeah, great.
Yeah.
Forget this whole Dragon Reborn stuff. So it's kind of working in Lanfear, Moraine's favor here. It seems like they're going to break up ways, but before they can have a nice, conversation about closure or anything, suddenly a shadow in the night appears here. And it's that British or Scottish dude, Sammael. He's Lews Theron's old nemesis, and he has this rogue attack with some Shido, my Southern coming out. The Shido Aiel are on his side. He's got a couple of those guys with him. They're coming in here and attacking Rand and Egwene, but Aviendha is the one that saves the day. You remember that Bear broke her spears in half, took her spears away from her, and was like, you're not a maiden of the spear anymore. But she makes some magic spears show up. She's channeling here and channels these spears and is able to help out with this attack with Sammael. Were you aware that Aviendha is a channeler and has that much power?
No, but I was confused as to who that was. I was like, is this channeling or are these just flaming swords? Because flaming swords rule. They're so awesome. I remember it must have been a mod because I've tried looking for this within the original Baldur's Gate game. I remember as a kid having a flaming sword and it rocked, but I can't find anywhere where there is a flaming sword in that game, or I'm just not looking hard enough. But flaming swords, 2 thumbs up. Lightsabers, when they like have plasma kind of like jetting from them, that makes lightsabers cooler.
Okay, I'm with that. I wanted to make sure that you knew that was Aviendha because I wasn't sure if we've ever seen her channeled before.
Yeah.
I think this might be the first time we've seen it. So, yeah, she has Wise One power. Remember when Bear broke her spears, she was like, you have other weapons that you can use. And so here's proof of that. We also get a nice glimpse of how easy it is for Rand to take out one of the Forsaken. He barely moves a muscle and he's able to smash out this guy, Sammael, with barely even thinking about it. But in doing so, he inadvertently crushes our little friend Alcera's house. And Alcera is among the dead now. So Rand goes and tries to revive her, and he cannot. He's really upset about this, obviously, because he's responsible for killing her. He still has toe towards her and all that stuff. And plus, she's a kid. Like, he hasn't never killed a kid before. And this is where I'm a little mixed up. And I'm glad this is like, we're right at the end here. because this gives a little time to ask you this. In previous seasons, we've seen Nynaeve bring back Lan from the dead, and we've seen Egwene bring back Nynaeve from the dead in season 1. But they're insisting to Rand here that death cannot be healed, that death is the end, and even Rand can't bring anybody back, which is the case. Rand was not able to bring back Alcera. Do you have any remarks about this? I don't know. I guess this is a contradiction happening here.
I think it would be similar to if someone got completely crushed by boulders, modern medicine could not bring them back. But if someone got stabbed a bunch and their heart stops, you could technically revive them if you tried hard enough and you had the right equipment, technology, knowledge, whatever. So I think it's bordering those lines of, is this person truly completely gone? Has the life completely left them?
Okay.
And is their body repairable? You also have to think about that. Whereas like a crushed kid, like that's like their brain like has bones probably in it now from skull fragments. That would be my takeaway and my hypotheses.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's a good point because Lan had just died that second, and Nynaeve revived him like 30 seconds later. Egwene did the same thing with Nynaeve immediately. Rand is here with Alcera immediately as well, but maybe her body had taken on more. Maybe she was further along. It was a little more final. But in this case, death cannot be healed. As much as Rand tries it, he cannot bring her back. Like one of our first Darth Rand moments. This is when we're starting to see Rand not exactly, well, how can you be happy with this outcome? But he was so sure that he could bring her back. And so the frustration that he can't bring her back is a lot for him to handle. I want to share with you an excerpt, not an excerpt from the book, but when this scene happened in the book with Alcera and Rand, it played out the same way, except for in the book, it described Alcera's body. Rand was able to revive her body and make her body move around like a zombie, but she was still dead.
Yeah.
And everybody yelled at Rand and was like, "This is disgusting. What are you doing? You're being a crazy person."
I was hoping that was going to happen, and it's like, no, dude, like you can animate things through magic, but you can't he can create, he can destroy, but you can't undestroy. Yeah,
okay, that's a good way to put it. And I was really hoping they would show that too. They would show like her lifeless body being flung around while Rand's trying to do stuff to it. And they didn't go there. Maybe they were just trying to be, I don't know, because they've showed a bunch of really gross stuff. They could have showed that. Maybe because it was child involved.
Yes, that's what I was about to say.
But yeah, I mean, you would not have known that scene happened in the book, so you didn't miss anything. I was kind of like, there's a few instances where like a really stark scene in the book exists in my head, and when I see it on the show, and if it doesn't go the exact way that I thought it would, then I feel like I maybe missed out on a little bit. Not that I'm disappointed or anything, but, I think that a show-only viewer like yourself would have gotten some ick from that.
Well, I mean, I was hoping that would happen because it would, like Lovecraftian stuff. When you get brought back from the dead, there's the madness and whatnot. So it would have been cool. Also, I mean, in fantasy, a lot of times, like you can't bring people back in specific fantasies, you can't bring them back as normal people from the dead. There's just zombies. Yeah, and that's what Alcera would have been here if that was the case. And we don't want a zombie Alcera. We're just going to honor her memory. So... yeah, Rand's not thrilled about this, and we got a bunch of dead people on the ground now. Sammael's dead, Ispan's dead, Naomi's dead. I probably missed out on some other people. But let's head back to the Two Rivers for our last final 30 seconds. But simply Bane and Chiad and Fael, and they're scouting the area. And while they're scouting, they see there's a war party, maybe going to come to the Two Rivers. The end of the episode. And it looks like next episode, I think James already knows this, and anybody who's a Wheel of Time fan knows this. This last scene is just a prelude to our Two Rivers battle, which we're going to see next episode, and it focuses 100% in the Two Rivers.
And we'll get to see that transpire next week. I think you got spoiled to some of that, right? Didn't you watch like the first 5 minutes of that episode, James?
Oh, no, I just saw like seconds of it skipped around.
Okay, right on. Well, yeah, next time we talk, there'll be time to talk about that. We only got 2 episodes left of this show, and it still hasn't been officially renewed, but thankfully it hasn't been canceled either. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm hanging my hat on, because if it was going to be canceled, it would already been announced by now. The fact that it hasn't been announced just tells me they're still working out contracts.
Yeah. Worst
case scenario is this show will just fizzle out and they won't do another season, but it won't be officially canceled. So that's kind of I don't know if that's good or bad. But at this point, I'm still holding out hope that they're going to continue and that they're going to get those contracts right, because they planned on 8 seasons. And some of the rumor mill is saying that that's part of the contract negotiations. I heard this there's a show called What Up, WOT Up, that, gives us information about Wheel of Time every week. And according to them, speculation only, is that that's what's holding it up, is that initially it's going to be an 8-season show. Now they're scaling it back to a 6-season show.
Okay.
So they're fighting production and they're trying to figure out how they can squeeze out 2 seasons or eliminate 2 seasons from the whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't think they could do the whole story in 6 seasons personally, but I'd love to see them try, and I will.
What about the next seasons are 8 episods opposed to 6 episodes? Oh, no, they're already 8 episodes.
Yeah.
What if we get like 6 seasons in a movie? Why not?
Well, actually, Wheel of Time, we've been hearing about the last battle. So we're pretty sure the last thing that's going to happen is the last battle. Wouldn't it be great if we had 6 seasons of the show that lead you up to the last battle, and then the movie is the last battle?
Uh-huh.
I mean, anybody listening to this? I mean, that's a pretty good idea. Come on. But yeah, we've hit our mark here. I think we're done with this episode, and we're going to start scaling out of here. James, did you have anything you wanted to promote or any last words for anyone?
Hey guys, listen to my music under Marshland Monster. Working on a new project with Crazy 8 the Snape Case, aka Crazy 8 the Snap Case. That's actually just what he's known as. And head over to MLMpod.com to find out information about my podcasts, such as Sweaty Time Pro Wrestling, Death to Squids, Mostly Speaking Sentai, This Movie's Gay, and The Height of Horror. All available wherever you're listening to this. Oh, yeah. And head over to patreon.com/MLMpod, where for $5 a month, you get exclusive content every single Friday. I don't know what this Friday holds for us, Who
knows?
Because we're recording this a week in advance, so I'm not sure what it is. But last week was Engaged with Nicolas Cage, discussing Dying of the Light.
Nice. And I think it's my fault. You're the sweet shot of time here, but you're a prisoner of my time because I make you record these episodes so far in advance. You don't know what's coming up, but we all know James is going to have more podcasts. You heard what he's got going on. From me, thank you very much for listening. Keep listening week after week. We release this every other week, but you can listen every week if you'd like. And until then, I hope you find that water and shade and shoes. Bye.
Bye.